Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Spiral Society. Tonight, we're doing something a little different. We're keeping it fun, keeping it light. We are all unprepared for this episode because we are letting a wheel choose what we talk about. We're going to spin a wheel. Whatever topic it lands on, that's what we're discussing tonight. So let's get into it. I'm going to spin the wheel. I have it here.
I'm kind
Okay.
of excited about this one.
Are you guys ready?
Yes.
I'm going to
Sure.
spin in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, it's spinning. We are talking about artificial intelligence.
Oh,
Okay.
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 Not a bad start. Not a bad start.
All right. I'm excited about this one.
This is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Very relevant to things that are going on today. We just had a very long writer strike because of fears of AI taking over people's jobs. And to us common folk, not in Hollywood, that has been a fear for even longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have in our Britney community, as you know, we have a lot of talks of, is this AI? Is this deep fake? Is this, is this that? So what do you guys think? Is AI a real threat?
I
Not
think it
on this
is.
stage right now. You think it is? I don't think it is in this stage. I
But
think
what
it
do
has
we
a
know?
big potential to develop and a big threat. As of right now, you can always tell. You can look at it and pretty much always tell it's AI.
I think that that's like the basics that we have seen. I don't think we are aware of what they're using this technology for. I sometimes look at things and wonder if it's not a real person in AI, like with the Kardashians or people like that, they're very much into this world. Sometimes I wonder. I really do. So I don't know. It can happen in the politics, in the news, things like that. It's freaky to me.
I still think
Um,
it's very obvious when something is AI.
Same, yeah. I can
And
see it.
I think, okay, let's not even talk about visual AI. Let's not talk about filters and deep fakes and things like that. We can, but I just want to talk about basic AI that we have now, things like Chat GBT and things, because it is fucking hilarious. I don't know if you guys heard, or I don't know if you saw. When you ask Google a question now, it gives you a
Yeah.
AI response. Some of
There's been
the
fails.
answers, yeah, some of the answers that it is giving is wild. Like telling people that they should eat at least one rock a day.
One, I saw that.
I'm sorry. I have not seen or experienced this before at
It
all.
is some of the
It's
responses are
new.
so funny. They told
Eat
pregnant women should smoke at least 2 to 3 cigarettes a day.
what?
If you want to keep your cheese on top of your from sliding off your pizza, just glue it on.
I'm sorry. Can this create a lawsuit? Like, what if there's somebody as dumb as a rock and actually believes this?
That they
Well,
need to eat a rock.
I'm sure when you like agreed to terms and conditions, there was probably some little passage that said like, well, if you're
Yeah.
a moron, it's on you, dumbass. So I think they're
Oh my
probably
gosh.
protected legally, but it's a new feature, so it's still in the works. It's not like fully advanced. Most of the time, it works well for me. It does give me good suggestions, but sometimes it's just like stupid.
But
I
this is
haven't tried
Google.
it. I haven't
Google is
tried it.
you got to try it. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
funny, sometimes it just gives you the normal responses that Google would give you. But this is Google. Google is a multi-billion dollar company. They are one of the leaders in advanced AI technology. Um and this is what we get. So it's hard for me to
Wow.
fathom that AI is advanced as people currently fear it is if we have AI telling us to eat rocks and pregnant women to smoke
Yeah.
cigarettes.
Yeah, that is wild. I mean, I guess everything has, it's bad and good. If it's used correctly and by people that want to do good, it can be a great tool. And in other cases, you even see it on the smaller scale on TikTok. There's so many videos that are being produced with like, there's one particular that is like Joe Rogan's voice. And they
Oh
start the
yeah,
video with like a little clip of Joe Rogan, and then
I've seen that.
they fake the entire voice.
They're not telling us the truth. The Rothschild family actually own Antarctica, and this was leaked by a Russian hacker. He leaked several documents from the Pentagon, and it says that no one is allowed to visit Antarctica except if the Rothschild family allowed it, after he leaked that he was never seen again.
And there's so many people believing this because it sounds so much like him. So I don't know. I think it's a threat if it's not used correctly, as everything. People always find a way to mess it up. So
I think voice is the most advanced right now, because even like there's been songs that you listen to them and you're like, well, shit, that sounds legit.
oh my gosh, yes.
Visuals and like pictures, actually decent. Video, I still to this day have not seen an extremely convincing, high quality video of a human being being AI generated without me noticing.
Me
It could be
either.
like, if it's like pixelated, low quality, blurred out, yeah, you can maybe pass. But if it's like, full HD 4K quality video AI, have not seen convincing yet. Send it to me, guys. If send it to me, Rachel. If you guys seen it, please send it to us.
I don't
You're
know.
about to get a million Britney videos.
Oh my God. Please.
Oh, yeah.
Please. That was a dangerous request.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe we have seen them. Maybe we have seen them and we don't know. I am not including Britney in this part of the segment, but I think that we possibly could have seen them and we just don't know. I guess we'll know later on.
So are you saying you think that what we see, what's provided to us, is like level 1, and then what I guess the government or the elite have access to is level
Yeah.
10, which we
Yeah.
don't even know exists yet, but exists?
I do agree with that. I mean, I think that this happens with almost everything. They use it with weapons. They use it with airplanes. They use it with masks. I tagged you guys in that video with the mask, or I sent it to you guys. Guys,
Oh, yeah. The
though that's
silicone.
like a mid-level. That's a mid-level. They have other levels for this masks to, whatever, pretend to be somebody else for whatever reasons they use it for. And that's what I'm saying. You're not going to find these masks online and be like, oh, okay, I can do the same thing. I'm sure they have way more technology on every other aspect, including AI, for sure.
Well,
I can
Paris
see
Hilton
that.
sold her likeness to the metaverse along with other celebrities. I'm not quite sure exactly what that means, but I'm guessing celebrities could be on board with it. Some of them. I understand the celebrities who aren't on board with it because obviously they won't need them to work anymore and they won't make money anymore.
Yeah.
But then other celebrities like Paris Hilton, who sold her likeness, I guess she sees it as, I can be in 20 places at one time and make even more money than I would have just being me, one person.
The level of greed, number one, and number two, there's that I think it's Black Mirror episode. I forget the name of the episode actually, but it's when they utilize this person's likeness and they make an entire show based on her life. And that's actually in the fine print on Netflix. They actually had real billboards in LA with real people's faces on that they signed the agreement to use their likeness, and they can do anything. Their faces are in the billboards. So I don't know. I think it's dangerous, I think.
There's not a lot of laws around it. That's the problem.
It's unregulated. That's what I was gonna say. I don't know, but anyways, should
But like
we?
everything new, everything new, especially technology comes out. Like, back in the day, we had drones, camera drones that you can fly and film. nothing was regulated. People were doing crazy, stupid shit, crashing drones into like big buildings and causing problems. But then the government was like, "Oh shit, let us start regulating it." And now you cannot fly pretty much anywhere. So I believe that if AI continues developing in such a rapid pace it is now, government will be forced to regulate it. There's already like a lot of apps are like on TikTok even. It says like if this footage was AI generated, you need to put a disclaimer. So
Yeah.
there's already it started, so hopefully it's gonna get to a different level, but it needs to be regulated for sure.
Yeah, I think they're seeing the dangers. And also, that's funny that you said drones, because that's one example of how the technology slowly arrives to us. Drones have been in
Oh
use
yeah.
for years, so many years. And we didn't get like the availability to buy a drone until like what, 10 years ago? So that's one
Yeah,
example of what I'm
true.
trying to say. Like all of this technology develops, they use it, they test it, and then at some point is available to you in a toy form, in a play form. You're not gonna get the degree that these people have it. So should we spin again?
All right. Spinning. Ready? Here we go. Do 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 do. Social media.
Oh gosh. Oh
Social
gosh.
media.
This seems rigged.
Oh gosh.
Where do we even start?
I
Mm.
know. They're the good, the bad, the ugly, I guess. Which one do you want to start with?
A blessing and a curse,
Yeah, for
both at
real.
once. Seriously, it is a double-edged sword for sure.
Mm-hmm.
When did you guys start on TikTok? I've never asked you before.
On
Like,
TikTok, 2021-ish, late 2021. It was like around
yeah, same,
December-ish.
same. You, Alec?
Posting or using? Because I was like using TikTok
Using, no,
for
using.
yeah,
Oh,
okay, so it's been
using earlier than that then,
Mm,
2020.
I started later. I started using it like 2021 and then posting it like probably beginning of 2023 or late 2022.
Yeah, I started making
okay.
content around December 2021. I started using TikTok and just watching other people's content like 2020, COVID
Yeah.
times.
I hated the thought of TikTok. Obviously
Same.
where you hear through the grapevine, oh, it's just a dancing app, whatever. I'm like, I'm never gonna have that. And then during 2020, I started, reading reports and doing things, and I started seeing within the things that I was researching, it will show me some TikTok clips, and I'm like, well, this is interesting. Like, there's actually people talking about interesting things here. So I downloaded it maybe 2021, and I think like you, 2022, I started posting, but it is such a great way to communicate and to find real information, but at the same time, it is so damning.
It's
Like
fucking
you can,
toxic.
it is,
BFFR. It's
Super
like
it is.
toxic.
realistically, it's fucking toxic.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue of it. Like, there's so many trolls and bullies that literally just go there on like faceless accounts, user 500 loser underscore 7, and gonna talk shit because they're so deep in their fucking crap that the only thing they can do to get out their anger and their frustration is to go and crap on other people on social media. Boom, bitch. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Well,
Yeah.
the only for as much useful information that there is, like, yes, there is information out there that you won't hear on the news, that you won't hear anywhere else, that, the media wants to shield you from, but you can hear it on TikTok. Hence the reason US Congress has a massive issue with them right now, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Hmm.
But there's also equally as much misinformation on there as
Yeah.
well. And if there's anything I've learned from TikTok, I always I always knew that a lot of people are followers, a lot of people are susceptible to bullshit and will just easily believe what they're told.
Yeah.
But oh my God, it wasn't until TikTok that I've realized, like, holy shit, people really will believe everything.
Yeah.
And there are
Anything.
so many scammers out there. There's so many grifters out there. There are so many people with every line of bullshit you can think of, every sob story you can think of, that to me is blatantly obvious, is nonsense, but people just eat it right up. And it's just like, it's very frustrating to deal with.
Yeah. Well, in
Yeah.
fact, that's why I started making videos, because when I was following Brittany, my first video that I posted was worried about Brittany. Like, has anybody heard about Brittany? If anybody that knows her sees this, like, I'm so naive. I got 100 views, but the reason why I started actually making content is because I was seeing a lot of creators just being very misleading people, and just I was like, you know what? I'm not just gonna sit in the comments. If they can do it, I'm gonna say what I think, and that's why I called mine Perception Station. It's my opinion of what I'm perceiving, and honestly, it's been a midst of like joy that I found, people like you guys, my best friends online. Like I love you guys dearly, but I've also found myself like attacked and hated constantly by people
Mm-hmm.
that don't even know my first name. It is mind blowing. So I don't know. I think it's a beautiful thing for communication and information, but like you said, people are so naive. They have zero capacity of understanding and differentiating between the truth and fiction, that it can just spiral. The misinformation and the lies continue to evolve.
Do you guys think you're addicted to social media?
Oh my God, hell yeah, obviously. Like for me,
Mm.
TikTok, I did join the train a little late. I was late to the party, obviously. I initially wanted to just like post mindless thirst traps, but that failed. So then, I didn't take that route. No one was buying what I was selling. So, then I met you guys and joined the Britney community, and that's where I am right now at this point. But I was very, very, very heavily addicted to Instagram before. Since I do like videography, photography, that was an amazing social media tool for me to use for like my business that I had back in the day. Just don't have time anymore for it, but still I was posting like tons of pictures that were like going viral on Instagram. I had more followers on Instagram than I even do right now on TikTok. They just slowly dissolved. So yeah, I was really, really big on Instagram, using it for years. So that's why probably I was late to TikTok. But yeah, I'm definitely addicted.
How
Such
about
a
you, T?
dumpster fire, Instagram.
Yeah, now
Um,
it's not the same. It's not the same what it used to be.
I don't know if I would say I'm addicted. We need that meme of Britney Spears right now. Is it an addiction? I don't know. I
It's
like
not an
it.
addiction.
It's not an addiction.
Not addiction.
um, I have a love-hate relationship with TikTok. That's my main social media. I live in TikTok world.
Yeah.
Instagram's a dumpster fire. That is a cesspool of just the biggest grifters and scam artists and hate over there. TikTok is a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun. I don't know. There is a lot of hate on there too. I don't know if I'm addicted, but it is a time suck. I'll tell you that much. Like if I need to kill time, that's the easiest way to kill time. Just be like,
Mm.
you're just swiping, and as soon as you know it, 2 hours has passed, and you're like, oh shit.
That is true. That is true. Also, I don't think I am addicted. I do recognize that at some point in my life, I feel like with Instagram, I was craving validation. I had
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
a period of time where I was insecure, and I was, I didn't fully understand the power of self-love. So I would post constantly things, the likes. It became a thing that everything that I did was like, okay, I have to take a picture. Like they said, do it for the gram. Like literally, this was what I did many years ago. And eventually, obviously, I started to retract all of this action, not retract, but stop these actions. And when I found TikTok, I did find myself lost a couple of hours of my day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been sitting here for 2 hours. I've literally done nothing. I've
Yeah.
just been looking at videos, but not to the point where I can say that I'm addicted right now. I can spend the whole day without looking at TikTok. I think that for me is
Nope.
posting,
I can't.
I like
You
posting.
can,
I
T, or you
like,
can't?
you
I
can't?
cannot. I
Well,
cannot
then you
spend a whole
fucking
day.
Oh,
addicted. Then you fucking
then
addicted
you
just like me.
are.
Exactly. Face it.
Whatever.
Yeah, I can spend time outside of it, of course, normal. But I do like posting, and I think that it's not an addiction. I think, I don't know, you tell me, but it's become a frustration now that I'm shadow banned, that I'm not getting the views, not because I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to connect. I want to express my opinion. I want feedback, and I'm not getting any of that.
Yeah.
And that drives me off. Instead of making me like want to do it more, it makes me just not even want to look at it. I don't want to do it anymore. So that's where I'm standing.
I hear you. I think it's been like a common trend for us obviously, and for others too, that like it's not rewarding. You're not feel motivated to post because you're gonna invest quite some time. Because for y'all
Yeah.
who like don't know how it works on TikTok to make a video, it takes time. So like if you
Yeah.
invest all this time, you want at least some reward and like some motivation. And you don't see
Yeah.
that. Recently, it's not the case. So you just don't feel like, why would I, want to do it and waste my time on this shit?
Yeah. And
So
another point on social media that I think that it is so completely unregulated on the fact that so many minors are on it, and it is
Oh
disturbing.
yeah.
Like I can't comprehend. Well, obviously it starts with parents. I hate that it has to become a law that kids can't be on social media. On I think in Florida they're doing this. You can't be on social media until like 16. This should not have to be a law. You should be able to have parents that have common sense knowing that this is just so damning for children, but that you see people that at 8 9 years old that already have Instagram, which is terrible. I mean, I found myself back in the day comparing myself to other people, like, oh my gosh, they have this such a pretty house, or their lives they look so much happier than me, which none of this shit is true. None of it is true. And if it can harm me as an adult, imagine what it can do to a child. So I don't know. I
Well,
think that
people wonder why they have 8, 9, 10-year-olds that are severely depressed
I agree.
because they're looking at this shit all day long and they think this is what their lives are supposed to look like. Not even adults do this. But
Yeah.
when you're a child, it's especially harder to separate like, okay, that's social media fiction world.
Yeah.
Reality is much different. Everything you
Mhm.
see on social media isn't really what it appears to be. Children don't have the ability to do that. So they're going to see these things and and that's people showing, like you said, the nice houses and the girls who with the perfect bodies and zero
Yeah.
pores and
Yeah, yeah,
all of
yeah.
that stuff. Let's not even talk about the other shit, or maybe we should talk about the other shit. And we see it all the time on TikTok.
Yeah, we should.
Literal porn,
Yeah.
private parts. There's the women who, because TikTok, they're relatively strict with their rules, but you're allowed to breastfeed. So people have found that loophole and now they have baby
Yeah.
dolls.
And they
Just an
sell,
excuse
yeah,
to
and they
have their
sell
boobs
you
out.
they sell you content based on this. Like, oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
breastfeeding a fucking doll. Like, it is a boring. But we can't use certain emojis and we can say certain words because
yeah.
then you get banana. Like, it's so ridiculous. It's become it's tiring, honestly. But yeah, there's a lot of conflict here. I'm not sure.
You see,
I
when it
saw
comes to kids, I'm just
sorry,
quickly gonna no, no, you're good. I'm just quickly gonna say when it comes to kids and like parents, like, oh, we need to like sue and ban TikTok because it's so damning for our children. No, that's fucked up because you don't, remove the cars from the road because your dumbass kid walks into traffic. So it's your job to make sure the kid does not walk into traffic.
I
Same here on
agree.
social media. It is your job as a parent to make sure your child is not getting negatively impacted on social media. And parents
Yep.
who come after like TikTok and Instagram saying that like, oh my God, it's ruining my children. Well, that's on you, boo boo.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I have two
Sorry,
boys, and
not sorry.
I have a teen and a preteen, and they're not allowed on social media. They don't beg for it. They don't know about it. Like, they know the names because they hear it and see it everywhere, and all of their friends have it. And I have told them and explained to them, you are not going to have social media until you're like maybe 16, maybe. And I still think that's too young. Your brain is still developing.
yeah.
I don't think that it is healthy at all. And they understand that they don't ask for it. And I'm okay with that. It is my responsibility, not anybody else's.
That's actually a debate, a popular debate right now with people saying like, oh, well, should it be banned for children? Should there be an age limit to social media? This is that. You can't control people in that way. And so they are children. They are children. You can't tell a 25-year-old you can't have
Right.
social media,
Well,
but 13, 14, 15, 16, yes, the fuck you can.
yeah, absolutely. But you have to see the world that we live in now, where they're allowing children to literally choose their gender at 5 years old. So if a child has the ability to choose, make such a permanent decision, having social media is just nothing compared to that. So
It should be
it
up to the
is,
parents. Same as here when it comes to transitioning, it should be up to the parents and children. Same with social media. If some parents want their kids to be on social media at the age of 10, that's on them. Like it should be, it should be okay. If some parents decide to, raise their children this way, that's
disagree.
up to the parents.
But
I
I don't,
disagree as well.
I don't agree with either of those things, of the parent agreeing to the child transitioning or the child being on social media. And I'll tell you why. It is ultimately your responsibility to have a healthy child, to have a child that is
A
loving.
functioning member of society.
Exactly. I say this all the time. Like, in order for you to have all of these things, social media is going to only destroy their self-image, their self-love, their compassion for others, because you start seeing all of these pretty girls or whatever, and then you're judging the little girl that's sitting next to you with like the glasses and maybe pimples. Like, I don't think it's up to the parents at this point. It should
Or you
be up
see
to the
murder,
parents.
Yeah,
death,
but-
destruction. You get desensitized. You become
But
this
then
heartless
how is it
piece of
different than
shit.
television? Like what you guys just listed and
Same.
described
It's
beautiful
not
people.
different.
It's not
It's
different than
not.
television.
It is
You-
the same thing.
You don't
Yes.
sit your kid in front of the TV and walk away. It is your job as a parent to monitor them 24/7. That is
Yeah.
your job.
I
Yeah.
So
agree.
you can't
Totally.
sit them in front of the TV. You can't sit them in front of the iPad. You can't put them on social media and walk away and let the media raise them for you. That's
Yeah.
not that's gonna fuck someone up if all they're
agree.
consuming and all they're learning from. Imagine if the only thing that taught a baby and the only thing a baby knew was TikTok, and you just sat
Yeah.
that baby in front of TikTok until it
Oh
was
my
like
God.
15 years old, and then you were like, all right, go out there in the world.
I see it. I have a couple of people in my life that I see that when they post their own kids, they're not older than 5 or 6, and they know all of these little TikTok dances, and it breaks my heart because I can't imagine how that brain functions. Like the comparison to the grown women doing these dances and looking so sexy, then you're wondering, why is my child acting this way? And I'm gonna tell you, for anyone that has an excuse saying, no, you can't control the kids, or they're just teenagers, or they're growing up.
Yes,
I
the
have
fuck you
done it.
can.
I have done it. My kids were not even allowed on YouTube until a year and a half ago. Like, and still till this day, when they watch YouTube, they're here in the living room where I can hear what they're consuming, which they're usually just watching people game. And that's about it. And we watch like a few documentaries, conspiracy theories, things that I can monitor what they're learning and they're ingesting, because I do think it's important. Like, you're not gonna sit a child freely scrolling through like HBO mature content. That's why you have parental controls.
That's insane.
The apps can help you, but you have to put from your part to, as an uncle, as a mother, whatever. You don't have to even have kids. Any kid in your life deserves protection. The world is fucked up.
Totally agree, but the same way, parents are able to limit the television intake if they choose so, I think same can apply to social media. I don't think government should regulate how parents should raise their children. That's just my first thing. When it comes, as not a parent, but as a potential parent in the future, I don't want the government to dictate me how and what should I do with my children. If, as the reasonable adult, I hope I am, I should be able to decide for myself how I want to raise them and what I want to, what limitations I want to set.
I
Yeah, but
understand that,
if you're a
Alex.
fuck up, like all of these fuck ups are raising kids on the
Exactly.
internet.
Yeah, but those
that's
fuck
a
ups gonna fuck up
problem.
those children
Yeah, but
regardless.
listen, I
In this
understand your
case.
point, Alec. The government sometimes, a lot of the time, all the time maybe, needs to mind its fucking business. It doesn't have a place telling people
Exactly. What to do. Yeah.
all the time. But these people are so stupid.
Yes.
So a lot of the people, I would even venture to say majority of the people who have children have no business having children. So what do you do in those cases where you have this large group of people reproducing and raising more people who are going to be like them, who are not functioning members of society? Like, at some point, someone has to step in and say, all right, enough is enough. You're just creating more of you, and
Yeah.
you never did anything good for this world. So we can't have more of you running around.
Yeah.
But you see,
I
in this
agree
case,
with both
social
of you.
media is not the biggest issue, though. What you're describing, social media could be one of the, potential issues, but in those cases, there's many other issues,
But
that
it
are
starts
more
with
serious.
the parents. Regardless, it
Yeah,
starts with
totally.
the parents. Like, I cannot comprehend. I know people in real life that their punishment is to sit down the kid on the iPad. Like, I have seen this with my own eyes, and is the free reign to the internet. Look, we've had like the Tide Pod challenge, remember?
Oh
Kids were
Jesus,
doing
yeah.
this
Yeah.
and dying. Now,
Mhm.
recently they had this 10-year-old that died, and he was doing a challenge that is, I don't know the name, and maybe is it better that I don't say it, but it's when they inhale the gas from the whipping cream.
Oh, whippets
Yeah. Well, a
from the
10-year-old
whipped cream.
just, yeah, a 10-year-old just passed away doing this challenge, and like him, many. When the parent is like, oh, I can't believe how this happened. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry for your loss. But you are responsible for monitoring what your kid is watching. And my point to what you're saying, Alec, let's pretend that this family, they didn't allow his kid to be on the internet, but his friends at school are watching these videos, doing the challenges, peer pressure, and that's a possibility that can happen. So I do think they should be off social media entirely, completely, 16 minimum.
Yeah, but then you saw there's other examples that could have tragic consequences as well, but we're not necessarily banning them. Like I said, we're not going to ban traffic and cars because some child can run into traffic. And yes, it's going to be a tragedy and that's dangerous, but we're not going to do that. So it doesn't mean like, similar logic here.
You're
Yeah,
right,
but you go to jail if you don't put your child in your
Well,
car
but that's
seat.
that's why it circles back to the parent. It shouldn't like circle back to the social media, to the traffic, to whatever reason. It should go back to the parent. That's
Yeah,
when
but
the
go ahead, T.
seatbelts
Are a law.
minimize the chances of a tragedy. So it's not about oh, but there's other issues, there's other things like they could run into the traffic. It's about minimizing the chances
Mhm.
of these things happening. And if young children, again, we're talking about, I guess we're talking about under the age of 16, right?
Yeah.
If young children, if you can minimize the chances of them consuming this content until they're of an age where they're somewhat, I don't want to say that 16-year-olds are the brightest of the bunch, but they're somewhat more aware of right, wrong, what could hurt me, what won't hurt me. If you can minimize that, why not?
Yeah, but
But you see
also
them.
the seatbelt thing, like, I'm sorry, the car
Mhm.
seat. Back in the day, like back in the day when I was growing up, we didn't have car seats in my country. There were no car seats. Not every parent
Yeah,
was responsible
we don't have
enough
it either. Yeah.
to just make the conscious decision to be like, hey, let me just buy. I mean, I'm sure they were sold, but it wasn't like a thing, And not every parent had the common sense to say, hey, I don't think this is safe to have a little 1-year-old sitting in the chair next to me, It became a law to protect the children. So as much as I don't want the government on my ass, I don't want them to control almost anything that I do think the regulations need to be in place because it is ultimately dangerous. And these kids are the future. So when you have a bunch of fucked up kids, you're gonna have a fucked up future. So I don't know. That's where I stand.
The government tells
Respectfully.
them they can't drink, Alec. Are you okay with just making that legal too and having it be up to
No,
the
no,
parent?
I'm not saying to make it legal. I'm just saying that, like restrictions should be reasonable, not
Well,
just
alcohol
fully.
is restricted. Alcohol is a dangerous.
Yeah, did it stop you back in the day when you were not supposed to drink?
Absolutely, it fucking did. I was scared
Really?
shitless of
Not
of
me.
of getting in trouble for things like this. I was raised right.
Okay.
I was raised with fear.
Hi, Mom.
Nah, my family tried, they failed. It
I
was
didn't
Mission
start drinking until I was
Impossible.
like 26 years old. I'm not gonna lie, for real. Then I overdid it way too much, way too much. But yeah. But anyway, that's an example of a government putting a restriction on a harmful substance. Like that's
Yeah.
an actual substance that you consume, but you also consume social media just in a
Yeah.
different way.
Yeah.
And if it's harmful, which I think in a lot of ways it can be, especially to a young developing mind.
Yeah.
Should they restrict it? Like
It's,
alcohol.
it's been tested. It's been proven. I mean, I go back to my real life because it is so sad to see little girls. So listen to this. This is a great comparison. I have one friend here in California that I adore, and her child, she is a normal kid. Like what you would consider a normal kid, a 10-year-old. She's a child. She dresses like a child. She acts like a child. She plays like a child. And then I have other people in my life that have kids that have been in social media since they're like 9 years old. And this difference is striking in the way that they talk, in the way that they dress, in the way that they act. They don't play anymore. They don't play with dolls anymore. I played with Barbies and things until I was like 12 at least.
Me too.
And these kids, by the age of 9, they're already into other things. Now they're into makeup, they're into fake nails, they're into fake lashes. Like where, and I'm sure we're not gonna see the damning of the situation until many years later, even though you can see it with your eyes in their behavior right now. But I do think, and I see the difference between a child that is raised, let's say, in the right way, in my opinion, without, you know, the iPad, the social media, whatever, and the kids are allowed to do all of these things without regulation.
No, I'm not saying there should not be regulations. They have YouTube for kids, so they can also have Instagram
there's
for
porn there.
teenagers.
There's porn there. There's porn there.
Is there?
Is
Yes.
there?
My son was on an app called, I don't remember the name. I'm gonna find it. It was a little, my son only had an iPad for the house when he was 2 years old. And I only let him have 3 applications for educational, you know, like you could write the letters, things like that. Never
Mhm.
any media. And I was in the kitchen, he was sitting on the couch, and then I hear like this wild screaming in another foreign language. And when I run to where he's at, I kid you not, the little drawing app that he had a little link that you could watch a tutorial or a little video, and it took him to a YouTube Kids. And you know how YouTube works, right? It has all of the suggested videos. So I
Yeah.
guess he's clicking, and one of the videos of the suggested is it's a German, I don't want to say the word, rape in a cartoon. In a cartoon
Oh, in a
form.
cartoon form.
In a cartoon form. But yeah, but then they had the whole thing with Elsa and Spider-Man and Mickey Mouse all gangbanging and doing the most horrendous things you
What?
can imagine. Cross my heart. This can be a whole episode, actually. This can
Like
be a whole
YouTube,
episode.
YouTube, like YouTube, YouTube.
Absolutely. YouTube.
Not like
This
some
actually,
weird bootleg
no.
version.
No, YouTube.
Huh.
So this can actually be a whole episode, because that's what I'm saying. That's why I never allowed YouTube in my home ever, because one thing leads to the other, and then episodes start like little cartoon things, and then they turn into something horrific, like poop eating, killing, gangbanging. I mean, all of the things. It's bad.
How do they not regulate this?
Anybody in the comments that knows what I'm talking about, please let us know, because this is horrible. Yeah, it's a thing.
I know. It's
On
also
that
like,
note, should we spin again?
I think we should, but this definitely, this should be an episode.
Write it down.
Does anybody want to see an episode of this?
I just don't
so.
think it, like, last closing statement from me before we spend it. Like, I don't think in this day and age it's so easy to shelter your children from everything.
It's not.
So,
it's not easy.
It's just not
I have
easy. And you
kids.
know,
I have kids. I can do it. I can.
Raising
try.
children isn't easy. If you're not up
Yeah.
for the job, don't fucking do it.
Don't fucking do it. Because exactly, because also, guess what? If I'm putting all of my effort to keep my children as innocent and as healthy and as mindful and as happy as we can possibly do in this world of information, you should do it too, because your kid comes to my kid with your nasty information and with the horrific things that your kids has learned, and is infecting my child. So do a good job or don't have kids. That's my closing statement.
Okay, I'm spinning. Spin,
Yay.
spin, 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 spin.
Oh,
It's
gosh.
spinning.
what is it?
Narcissistic parents.
Oh.
Ooh. Okay, well, get
This
into heavier
This
stuff.
started light. This started
Yeah.
light. Okay.
Oh, God. No one wants to go first here.
let's ease into it by saying that or asking people and giving our perspective. Is it okay to go no contact with your parents? Let's start here. And then we can
Yes.
ease into like narcissistic parent, because usually that's the main reason why people go no contact with their parents, because they're fucking narcissistic.
Yes, it is absolutely okay to go no contact with anyone in your life who is toxic.
I agree.
Yeah. I think they're raised Italian that guilt trip that they give you when you try to do something as boundaries or claim respect, it is a fine line. You are told you're disrespectful. You are told you have to accept it and deal with it because it's your family member. It is such a fine line between like, where do I start loving and respecting myself at the same time respecting the person that, you know, it is has a little bit of my love because it's my family member, but it's not good for me. It's tough.
Yeah.
I hear you. Like we have the same, so European cultures have a lot of similarities. So when it comes to like the toxicity of the family, it's always like guilt tripping, and they
Yeah.
trying to like gaslight you into the stuff. But I think it's healthy for everybody to separate themselves as much as possible and just do what's best for them. So I totally support going no contact with your family members or whoever you want to. I've done that. And actually, I done that with my mom, and then we got back to talking again. And actually, our relationship got so much better afterwards because she realized a lot of shit, and she learned her lesson. So that worked out for the best.
Yeah.
Not with my dad though. Don't know if motherfucker's still alive. Don't care.
I want to know if anybody watching has an experience with this and let us know because I think it's just a heavy topic. T, I know you're
Yeah.
quiet.
I don't like bringing this up. But I guess I will because it's very relevant to this. But my father is like a step above a narcissist. He's a diagnosed sociopath. So all sociopaths are narcissists, but he's like on another level of narcissism. So I went no contact with him maybe like shit over 10 years ago
Years.
now,
Mhm.
I would say.
Good for
And
you.
it's one of the best things I ever did. I highly recommend if you
Yeah.
have
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, highly recommend if you have an extremely toxic or are dealing with narcissistic abuse, cut it off. Get them out of there. Don't need them.
Yeah, I think for me, I have contact with my father, which I love dearly. I've told you guys my struggles. I'm over 40 and I have my issues. I have my issues with loving my father more than I should, more than he possibly deserves, I think. And I think that is easy for me because we live continents away. So I'm not forced to see him like at reunions or things. I see him
Right.
maybe once every 3 years, but there's still this very toxic bond where if I don't text him, for example, for Father's Day or his birthday, even though he doesn't text me for Mother's Day or my birthday or things like this, there is that gaslighting, oh, you never write me or you never call me, you never do anything, da, 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 da. Even though I'm not welcome when I'm calling, I'm treated poorly. He has shown zero love and respect for me or my family. He does give us compliments once in a while, but it's not like but it's hard. Like, I don't think I could do the non-contact because I have a lot of guilt in me. I don't know. I also try to understand where they come from. Everybody can love and be as far as their knowledge, He also
Then
didn't know a lot of love, so I don't know.
then another question, because that sounds like after talking on this subject to many friends, many people that I know, it sounds like it's a common trait when it comes to Gen X and Boomer parents. So it seems like a generational trauma that they have, and that's why they were not necessarily the best parents, and a lot of them, besides like personal narcissistic traits, they share a lot of common narcissistic traits as generation. Do you guys agree
Yeah.
with that or not?
Yeah, all the generational traumas. I don't know my father to be a narcissist. That he has narcissistic traits for sure. I think he's a very intelligent and he's so fun to be around. Same like yours. T, you've mentioned before, your father is incredibly intelligent. My father, I don't know if he's a narcissist. He has narcissistic traits. Same with a lot of people in my life. And I think that the generational trauma comes from what I just said. The reason why I can't stop loving him, I can't stop, making these little attempts, just, I don't know, out of habit, I guess, is because I do see the pattern that repeats itself. Like, he had a fucked up childhood. His parents were not very loving. There was abuse. So how can he love when he doesn't know love? Am I making any sense? I don't know.
Same with
Yeah.
my
Maybe,
dad.
maybe I'm making excuses at this point.
Wait, aren't you also Gen X though?
First of all, I'm so Gen X or whatever that I don't even know these meanings.
She's
So
a
maybe.
millennial.
Is she
don't
though?
know.
No, like seriously, is she a
Yeah,
millennial
she is.
though?
She's a millennial.
I have no idea. But
Huh.
sure, whatever you
Huh.
rather.
We're all millennials here. Elder
Um,
millennials, but we are millennials.
Speak for yourself.
Do you have a relationship with your father, Alec?
No, I don't. He's not narcissistic. He didn't have like narcissistic traits. He had egotistic traits, which is, there's some similarities, but no, we never had relationship. My parents got divorced, well, the first time when I was just a child, then they got back together, then
First
yada
time.
yada, and they separated again, and then we never had relationships until some point. Then we had, and then it didn't click because I was already an adult, and I was just like, you're gonna try to be a parent figure and teach me how to live when I'm already 18 and you were missing for the 5 past years. Fuck off. So we had like a bumpy relationship for like 5 years. And then after I moved to the US when I was 23, I haven't seen or heard from him since. And I don't think about him unless somebody asks him. So I don't even like ask me about him. So I don't know if he's still alive. Don't care.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, there are things that I, as a mother, I can't comprehend. Like I can't comprehend a father not wanting to know about his son or his daughter, in your case, T. Those are
Their
the things
loss.
that I understand and agree. But what I'm saying is that in the position that I am as a mom, like I can't imagine all those mothers that abandon their kids or fathers that abandon their kids. I can't comprehend. There's a disconnect. It's got to be some mental issues going on because that's
I
not
was about
normal.
to say, because
That's
like
not
you're not
normal.
mentally
It is.
fucked up. Like, but it is normal for those people, yeah.
In my father's case, it is like he doesn't have the ability to care about anyone except himself. Like that's it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he was in law enforcement his whole life. So the last thing you need is a narcissistic, sociopathic cop. Like, come on.
With authority.
Yeah, every bad combination you can think of is my father.
Wow, that is one day we're gonna have a very long episode of this one day. This is the first time I've ever actually talked negatively about my father in a public setting, and I can tell you right now that I'm feeling nauseous, and that is
Not
my
relieved?
fear. That
Not
is like
relieved?
no.
Wow,
My
okay.
first thing is, what if he heard this? Because he gaslights so much to the point of like he's being obviously in his mind the best father, and it's really absolutely not
Well,
quite the
maybe it's time for
opposite.
the reality check for him,
Quite the opposite. He has other
Let's
kids.
send him the link.
Oh God. Well,
Jesus
he doesn't
Christ.
speak English, so that's a great thing.
There you go.
He
Okay,
has
yeah,
other
subtitles is
kids.
too much work.
Yeah, he has 2 other kids, and I had an experience where he came to visit to California with his daughter. So he has 2 kids in his new marriage. And he came to visit, and I got to experience something that it's gonna blow your mind. I experienced my father as an outsider being a father, which for me was a mind fuck. This was 7 days. I didn't know if this was torture or this was like a test from the universe, or it was just legit a lesson sent to me to like disconnect a little bit, because he was a great father in that moment. He was caring to her, and he like would hug her and love on her, and he would take care of her like a father. And I was just like observing, and I was like, wow, he's really good. But that's not the father that I have experienced. So in his mind, there's this disconnect. And now I'm just thinking, if this ever gets to his ears, he's going to bitch so much and make me feel so bad about this.
Was it real or was it a show? Because my father's very good at
No,
putting
it's
on a
real.
show. My dad is only about how people from the outside, like you said, are looking in and what they're seeing. So
Right.
if he's out in public, he knows which mask he has to wear at what times. He wants
Right.
the picture perfect family. He wants, everyone to look at him and envy him and think he has the best life ever. But behind
Right.
closed doors, it's a fucking horror show.
Right.
All the time.
I don't know what kind of life they have behind closed doors, but what I can tell you, the stark differences are like he would he ask her like it's basic things. Like it sounds so stupid, but it's like asking basic things and knowing her. Like he knows her likes and dislikes. He doesn't know this about me. Giving her compliments, being there for her. It's just little things that, irrelevant of what kind of relationship they have, he was acting like a father. With me, he acts like a stranger. Like
But
people that, office buddies that like each other, kind of
Right.
like that. That's about, in fact, fun fact, my sister and I fucking giggle at this all the time. When he sends me like birthday wishes, he literally says greetings, like greetings, greetings. Okay, hugs. Like never, I love you. Never, ever, ever. I have heard my father say I love you. So
But do you
it's
think it's
weird.
a difference? So I'm assuming the half sisters you have, they're like younger. Do you think it's a
Yeah,
difference of your father being a young father and experienced with you, and then being a mature person with them, and maybe potentially learning on his own mistakes that, like, as a
I don't think
potential
he's learned
narcissist,
shit.
he's not admitting, but
I don't
maybe
think
he's
he's learned shit.
comprehending?
That's the thing. I don't think he's learned anything. I do think that part of either my mother or father, all the mistakes that they made. I mean, my mother became a mother when she was 21. Please go back in your mind at 21 and imagine
My
having a
mom was
child.
23,
Like,
so yeah.
yeah. So, and he was a couple of years older. So they were barely starting to be on their own and they had kids. So that's why I have this piece of me that has the empathy and the understanding the way that they raised me, or the way that they were towards each other was, experiencing life. I don't know, but I don't think he learned anything. He's very much emotionally, ¿cómo se dice?
Unavailable.
Yeah.
Unintelligent. No, not even
Mhm.
unavailable. Like just ignorant, emotionally ignorant for sure.
Yeah.
T, do you know if your father is like still alive? Do you have like mutual family, like, I don't know, like other family members that, like, on his side that you still have relationships with?
No. He's alive. God help us all. But I don't have a relationship with him or where anyone on his side really. I was close to his mom, my grandma, but she passed away. So there's no one really left on his side that I talk to. There's no one. I never really formed relationships with those people to begin with because they all hate my fucking father. Like everyone who
Mm,
knows him, everyone who's ever been close enough to him to see the monster stays far, far away. So
Wow.
I never formed relationships with those people because those people didn't deal with my dad.
mm, that
Incredible.
makes sense.
For
Wow.
me, I have one person in my father's side of the family that I adore like a father. Is his brother. I love him to death. Quite opposite of my father. Like he's an incredible being. But I didn't have a relationship with my father's side of the family because they all hate my mother. So when they saw me and my sister, it would be like seeing my mother as a reflection, and they would project all of the fucking issues they had, emotionally immaturity, obviously, because who the fuck does this? I'm a child. Like I did not do this. I
Mm.
did not get divorced. It was them. So for me, is that kind of similar. I don't have a relationship with them because they hate my mother. And I actually think that my father hates my mother so much that he projects, and that's why he is the way he is with us, for sure.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
fine,
common
Ugh.
man.
thing that
I
people
wanna
project.
I wanna spin again because I don't want to talk about these idiots anymore.
Do we have time for one
Gross.
more spin?
Ugh.
I don't
We have
think
to talk about
so.
something else that is
Listen, there
not
are a
this.
lot of tales to tell when it comes to my father, but
Oh God, I
it will
cannot
be
wait.
my dad will be on some true crime podcast somewhere one day. I guarantee it.
Not that I
Well,
can't
you'll
wait for
break
that
the
to happen,
case.
but I can't wait to hear your story when you are ready and it's possible. But yeah, I'm down.
Are we
Do
spinning
you ever?
again?
Yes, we're spinning, but before we spin, can I ask you something? Are you ever fearful of running into him?
Um, no. He moved. He's in a different state now.
Okay, good.
But I never I'm not fearful of running. I actually have run into him. I don't know if he realized he ran into me, I don't know if he
Oh.
saw me, but I saw him. So we've been in the same places at the same time and whatever. Okay.
Oof.
Actually, I'm not going to spin it again because I think we've already been talking for like an hour on these topics. But if you out there watching like this and you want us to spin again next week, let us know in the comments and we will do so. We have a lot more topics on this wheel to go through.
Suggest
Yeah.
topics. I
Suggest
would love
them.
suggestions.
I will add them
We'll
to
add
the
them to the
wheel.
wheel.
Yes, that would be great. I actually had a lot of fun not talking about anything serious today because the world is
Totally.
fucked. So if you guys are still here, thank you so much. We love you and we appreciate you. Follow us and comment and give us suggestions. Do all the things.
Give us topics to add to the wheel.
Yes.
Thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time.
Bye. This was
guys.
fun.